was another tough night for the Grizz on the road and also on the injury list. I don't know what it is about this team and injuries, but it's not so good, you could say. We're going to talk about that with Pete Pranica. Usual lineup today, Bill Bender on college football. He'll, he puts out his predictions in his bracket. He is the president of the College Football Writers Association. We'll talk with him at about 10:28, and then Jarvo will end our day. We'll talk Grizz. We'll talk the Tigers and East Carolina. That was eye-opening, talking with their play-by-play announcer yesterday just about how good this team is. This may be the most undervalued team in the American when we're talking about those that are tied at the top. Obviously, you talk about USF. You used to talk about Memphis and Navy. Those now are sort of out of the picture, unfortunately. Although, if Memphis wins out, and to me, we just saw Harold Grader. He'll kill me for saying this. But it looks more and more like, to me, that it's a long shot that the SEC has a team in the mix for the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Okay? Think about it. If they get 5 up, you got to have 12 eligible teams with 6 or more wins in order to have bowl eligibility. And it doesn't look to me like they're going to get 12. If they get a team up, they may not even get 11. But if they get another team in, and we'll talk with Bill Bender about that, he is saying there are 7 teams still in the mix to make the college football playoff from the SEC. So if they don't get one with their contract, which Steve Earhart on Tuesdays always makes us very aware, they have a deal with the American. That's the sort of the third league behind the SEC and the Big 12. Who would you take if Memphis wins out and is 10-2 and they don't make the championship game, which most likely they won't? Then the hotels and the restaurants don't want Memphis in. But do you want Memphis? Would fans still want to come, not making the championship game? Or do you go to one of the teams, maybe the championship game loser? I don't know what you do. I think it's a dilemma. What would you do, Landon Schmidt, if you were Steve Earhart and Harold Grader and you don't get an SEC team, which that is a good possibility, unfortunately.
Well, if we don't get an SEC team, surely the home dog. I would want to see the home dog in our own bowl game.
Well, they've been there a couple of times. You do know that the restaurants and the hotels don't want that because that is a crimp on them. And this is what the gala is on January 1st, right? And
I believe so.
And the game is on the 2nd. So now the question you have to ask yourself: be honest here. And I'm telling you, I don't really know. But if you don't make the championship game, which means you're out of the playoffs, even if you've won 10 games, do the fans want to come to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl to see them play a Big 12 team? Do you think they would sell more tickets that way and satisfy the hotels and the restaurants downtown and everywhere else? Or do you take Tulane or USF for that matter, or Navy for that matter, or North Texas for that matter? I mean, Dallas is a drivable thing. And how about North Texas TCU? That could be a regional bonanza. I don't know. Or do you try to satisfy the home team? It used to be a big deal if because they never got in, but now they've been in a few times, and I just don't really know. I mean, there's a lot to weigh there.
There is, and I think, too, the norm has kind of shifted for Memphis football to where we're now used to 10-win seasons. I mean, it's a commonality with Ryan Silverfield, but now we're in this state where we want more, and we're not getting it because we saw ourselves in the 12 playoff bracket, then we lose to Tulane, now we're out, and now we're thinking, well, what do we got to do now to get back into it? And that's the hope.
Well, that goes back to expectations.
It does. And I think the expectations are higher.
To begin a year. And I get that. Because I think there's ebbs and flows with programs. Mm-hmm. If you had said to me, would you accept, go back to 2013.
Yeah.
Would you accept regularly winning 9 and 10 games?
Oh, all the time. What program wouldn't?
But you're not going to make the championship game. You're not going to go to a great bowl, and that's part of the problem with the American Athletic Conference. If you don't make the playoff, if you're not that rep, what's your best bowl? There's not a granddaddy bowl that you're going,
not anymore.
Wow, that's a real reward to go to Annapolis. Maybe to go to Fenway one time. Maybe. Because it's Fenway Park. Has nothing to do with the bowl game itself. Maybe because you're going to play an ACC opponent. I think that's the matchup there. There's not a bowl like the Rose Bowl or the Cotton Bowl or any bowl that you're going, whoa, man, how cool is that? You could go to Orlando. You got Disney World. If you go to the second bowl that is part of the Orlando setup, and not the top bowl. So it's, I've thought about this because in 2013, I would have taken that in a heartbeat. But there's evolutions to a program. Mm-hmm. And once you get a new standard and have expectations, then fans, and they're human, fans expect better. They expect you to go to the championship game. And by the way, if you go to the championship game a couple of times, then you're expected to win it.
Yeah.
Which the Tigers did in 19, but that's 6 years ago. And it's not been when Ryan Silverfield was calling the shots. So I get that. I still like 9 or 10 wins.
It's great on any resume.
But I also do understand that there's that evolution. And I also know the problem for the conference is they don't have a great bowl affiliation. They got a lot of them, but they don't have a great one. Name one bowl before that if you don't get into the college football playoff, you're going, well, at least the consolation is we're going to this bowl. There isn't one.
Can't say it anymore.
No. As we get a hold of Pete Pranica here and talk about the Grizz last night, tough one, I got to congratulate 2 great Cy Young Award winners that I think are going to be around still for a while. It's great for baseball because starters don't get much accolades because they only go 5 innings, for goodness sake. But I think Tariq Skobal, the great Detroit pitcher, has now won back-to-back Cy Young Awards. It gets lost how good he is. Detroit was a really good team this year. He was a major part of that. And the way the business works now, unfortunately, Skobal probably will be gone because he can get big bucks somewhere. And I don't know if the Detroit Tigers are willing to pay that money. That's a shame. On the National League side, this Paul Skeens story is such a good one. And here is a guy who came out of nowhere. By the way, there is a common theme. Both Skobal and Skeens, neither of them out of high school were prospects. It all came late in life for them. They both made a point of that in their interviews after winning the Cy Young. Skeens, by the way, was a catcher out of high school, went to the Air Force Academy, didn't get a major offer from anybody. Neither really did Skobal. I think he got 1 Power 4, he said, maybe not even that. Power 5. So the Skeen story is great. He goes to the Air Force Academy. He's really kind of going both ways. He's doing a little Shohei here and there. And as a catcher, then he would turn around and become a pitcher. And then he got better and better and better as a pitcher and transferred to LSU. I don't know. Is he more famous for being great as a pitcher or for being the boyfriend of Olivia Dunn? I don't know. You're a young guy. What do you think, Landon? What do you think Paul Skeens is best known for? His pitching or his girlfriend?
I would like to say his pitching, but I don't know if I can.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, let's head, I think, to Boston, because I don't know, they might have come home. They don't play until Saturday, where the Grizzlies then have to go to Cleveland, which is seeming to find their way in this early season. Good morning, Preet Pranica. I guess we'll do like they used to do on the Today Show with Matt Lauer. Where are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Now, the Grizz are in Boston. Today's a day off. They'll practice tomorrow, fly to Cleveland tomorrow afternoon. So they will come home after the Cleveland game, in between then trip to San Antonio. But, yeah, currently in Boston.
All right. A tough night last night because I thought Boston was a gettable team. They're, I think, 29th out of the 30 teams in rebounding. They don't have really the greatest inside game, and yet last night, you couldn't tell that. Now, there was no Zach Edey. There was a lot of speculation he might play. He was on the trip, but that ankle apparently, or they're still convalescing from the surgery. He was a no-go. It was a surprise. Maybe it was load management. No jaw last night. And then KCP got hurt. That is not a good recipe. The injury bug's just everywhere in the league, but it seems like it finds its home in Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, the KCP thing was, nothing that he did. I mean, that was Luka Garza making a wild swing, and why there was no air in the whistle on that, and it kind of defies easy description. I don't know what the update is. He did not finish the game, obviously. Typically when you look at the injury report, when a player goes from out to doubtful, and then the next step is questionable, and then they end up playing. So I think with another day off and a practice day tomorrow for Zach Edey, I don't know that he'll play in Cleveland, but I wouldn't rule it out at this point. He got a good on-court workout before the game at TD Garden. I talked with him afterwards. He said he was feeling really good. So it's just a matter now of the medical staff clearing him to be full go and to be able to play in a game. And hopefully it would be against Cleveland because they are a very good basketball team, and it's going to be a tough game on Saturday night.
I preface this by saying I know you don't get the reports from the medical staff, and the Grizzlies are very, very close to the vest on that. But your gut feel, was that jaw, ankle soreness, load management? Do you think he plays in Cleveland?
I think he plays in Cleveland. There was soreness there, and look, when you look at the jump shooting, the numbers are way, way off, and a lot of the shots are coming up short. Could be possibly that ankle is bothering him again, the ankle that he hurt in training camp. So I don't think it was load management. I think it was just a matter of not load management per se, but it might have been, hey, this ankle is bothering you, take a day, then you get Thursday, Friday, and then you don't play again until Saturday. That's basically 3 days that you can get some treatment on it and stay off your feet. And so I think that's why the decision was what it was.
I really didn't equate that ankle injury still in maybe the reason that he's been so off offensively, not just the outside shot. There was a good story that talked about with analytics his usage and the way he is approaching the game. He is not going to the rim like he used to. The floater has become a much more prevalent weapon for him, and unfortunately he has not been hitting that. And obviously we know how bad he has been from three-point range. And if you've got within your leg somewhere an issue, and the ankle, last I saw, would be part of that, and you can't use those efficiently, that will affect your game. It will affect your technique. It's like a golfer with a bad wrist or a bad shoulder or bad legs for them. Everything is incorporated in a swing, and your legs are used in your shot, and particularly from long range. I wonder, we're guessing, right? But how much of that do you think has been part of Ja's ineffectiveness of late?
I think it's been part of it. I would have to, if the ankle's bothering him enough that he sits out a game, I would imagine that it is an issue. You look historically, he's not been a strong three-point shooter anyway. This has been a slump. Is it a slump just because slumps happen, or is it because, the ankle's bothering him? I know that some of the beat writers queried him after the last home game, why aren't you attacking the rim the way you have been? And he said, well, I've been doing that. I've been getting undercut and I've been getting hurt, so do you want me to do that again and run the risk of being hurt? And one thing that Josh said at the start of the season, he said, I want to learn my body and understand, how its health or lack thereof affects my on-court performance. And so I think that's why he has been less aggressive at going strong to the rim and trying to throw down dunks and make the spectacular play. He's trying to stay healthy and play more games than he has in recent seasons. So, I think that's part of it. Also, if that ankle is bothering him, clearly it is. You're gonna lack some explosiveness, and particularly as you point out, you need your legs under you in order to be an accurate 3-point shooter, and that's not happened for him this season.
The biggest problem last night and many games has been defense. Last night, Boston shot 50%. They shot, I want to say it was 41% from three. They made 21 of those from the Grizz 10, and they got killed inside 68-53. And by the way, Boston is 29th in rebounding in the NBA, and a 34-12 difference in second chance points. So you're getting hurt on the outside. They have 11 more threes made, and they kill you on second chance points. There's no way to win a game like that. What's happening in the regard of defense?
Just being able to look at it from a courtside perspective, I'm not seeing a whole lot of communication. I don't know. We always talk about you want your defense to be on a string. This defense is not on a string, and I don't know if that is a lack of attention to detail. I don't know if it's tactics. But you heard Tomas Isolo last night was very, very upset with what he basically termed a lack of effort and a lack of attention to detail, and that hurts. Boston takes a ton of threes. You know that if they miss those threes, they're going to be long rebounds, and long rebounds are not so much about positioning; they're about hustle. And last night, Boston played like a desperate team. They had blown an 8-point lead in the fourth quarter at Philadelphia, lost by 2 late. They have struggled. They were sub 500 at home. They came out with a greater purpose and sense of urgency, and they won the 50-50 balls. They won the hustle plays, and when the Grizzlies were not communicating defensively, Boston was on point and punishing them either with 3-point looks or they had a really good night in the paint, and they are the lowest scoring paint team in the league. So, Boston came more ready to play with a greater sense of urgency, and the score is what it is.
A couple of really good stories around the league. One is OKC. They are off to a 12-1 start. They're beating good teams, and they're beating them badly. Do you think they will repeat, one? And two, you've seen a lot of great teams in your years as not a kid, but as coverage, or even as a kid, like Michael Jordan and the Bulls dynasty. Where do you think this team? I know it's early in their growth, but how good do you think this team really is?
Well, they're outstanding, and they're probably going to want to stack championships as much as they can because eventually all these guys are going to come due for really big contracts at the same time.
Right.
And I don't know how they're going to pay everybody. And they're doing this without Jason Williams, by the way, who had the wrist surgery and still hasn't, I think had another procedure to address the wrist. They're solid top to bottom. I mean, you look at the numbers, you look at all the statistical ranks, and they're good at everything. So they play selfless basketball. They have a star in SGA who is one of the best, if not the best players in the NBA right now. And they've got a lot of really high-level guys who approach the game without ego. They pay attention to detail. They are buttoned up. They're disciplined. And Mark Daignault has done an amazing job with them from his days in the G League in that organization. So he knows about player development, and guys have gotten better. And even though they've suffered, significant injury without Jalen Williams, they have been able to sustain. And what's crazy is the one loss they had, they blew a 22-point lead in Portland.
Right.
So they very easily could be undefeated this season.
Man, that is the story. You mentioned SGA. I got to give you another guy for candidacy of the best in the league at the moment, and that would be Jokic at the Nuggets. They've won 6 in a row. Pete, he's averaging 36 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists. He's shooting 74% from the field and 55.5% from three-point range. You talk about a groove. I mean, the West just has so many great players.
Yeah, and the Grizzlies haven't seen Denver yet, and it's going to be a real show. Because I mean, Jokic is one of those players, and I put him in a category with Luka Doncic or even SGA in that you can't speed them up. They play at their own pace, and they are unperturbable when it comes to playing. You can't rattle them, and they just go about their business. They know what they do. They know where their spots are. They find creative ways to get to their spots. And the thing with Jokic, he's shooting a high percentage, but as you point out, he's great from three. I think last year on jump shots, he was the most accurate jump shooter in the league.
Wow.
You wouldn't have thought that necessarily,
No.
but he does have that ability, and he's in a groove right now, and enjoy it now before he decides to retire and go run his horse farm.
Well, that's the thing, is these guys can retire early because they make so much money. There's no doubt. I am surprised at that. He was the most effective jump shooter because he doesn't limit himself just to paint touches. As you say, he goes outside and shoots threes, and he's doing that at a very high rate. All right, you mentioned last thing, Luka. And, of course, there has been dissension in Dallas since the trade of Luka to the L.A. Lakers. Finally, it caught up with Nico Harrison. But I will tell you, Jason Kidd and the players were addressing all this unrest that has been going on that now probably will be gone. They called it a home court disadvantage because while the Mavericks, even in critical situations, were at the free throw line, while it's quiet, the fans would be going, fire Nico, which apparently had been, although they didn't use it as an excuse, had to be very distracting and disheartening for the team. A home court disadvantage. Have you ever seen that before?
No, haven't seen that before. The whole Nico Harrison thing is just crazy. Basically, Dirk Nowitzki didn't want to have anything to do with the organization because of the way Nico Harrison was dealing with things there in Dallas. I had one Dallas staffer say that Nico Harrison had told them that they can't sit courtside and watch warm-ups, which we do in Memphis. I mean, general managers are worried about that. They're worried about the wrong things. And to alienate, as they did Dirk Nowitzki, where he really didn't want to be around the organization, that says a lot about the way Nico Harrison handled things. And so I think it was over and above the Doncic trade. Obviously, that was huge. But yeah, it just became a massive distraction for this Dallas team, and this Dallas team that for many years was was considered a model of a well-functioning organization. Now has gone totally sideways.
I'm with you. I think Nico Harrison was a big mistake, and I'm sure that Nico Harrison is a smart guy, would have to rethink if he ever gets another chance. I wouldn't touch him, but if he ever gets another chance, he's got to rethink about some of the things he did. I think when Doncic left, wasn't there some other guy that was a long time part of the organization, like a trainer or something like that quit because he was treated so poorly by Harrison?
Casey Smith, I mean, former athletic trainer of the year, and he was a guy who was very tight with Dirk. And I mean, you talk to any athletic trainer in the league, they'll tell you Casey Smith was one of the very, very best, and basically got shoved out the door. So, there was a lot of stuff that happened in that organization over and above the Doncic trade that really fouled the waters there in Dallas.
Well, I think the beginning of the downfall, if it is a total downfall, we'll wait and see. Cooper Flagg is a bit of hope. AD is still a good player. Kyrie Irving is going to come back at somewhat of an advanced age. But this goes back to when Mark Cuban decided to sell the majority interest in the team to this family that apparently just doesn't get it. And, he was supposed to still run it, but they're not letting him run it. So I think this goes back to the Cuban decision to cash in.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I mean, you can like or dislike Mark Cuban, and there are a lot of people on both sides of that, but he was pretty basketball savvy. And I think a good basketball decision maker, and the fact that he was cut out of the loop. I mean, again, you talk about Dirk Nowitzki. He's cut out. Mark Cuban's cut out. You're cutting out two of the iconic figures in that franchise's history, and they're no longer involved. that you have to honor your history. You really have to honor your history as an organization, and I think that the way things were handled on multiple levels was just not conducive to championship basketball.
He's Pete Pratica. He's the TV voice of your Memphis Grizzlies. We will talk again next Thursday. Thanks, Pete. Safe travels.
You got it. Thanks.
That's our guy. He's brought to you by Ken. That's Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Ken knows it's a big decision you're going to make. Are you building that dream home? You want a guy that sees details, sees the big picture all at the same time. You want a guy with experience. How about 3 generations now? Started with Ken Sr. Ken Jr.'s been running it for years, and now William is in the business, and they are really good at what they do. Go to kengarland.com. You'll see what I'm talking about. Whether it's that dream home, you're looking for land, you're not sure how to utilize land, they got that down. They also have renovation down. I call it renovation with innovation. You might want to call it a remodel. Whatever you want. You don't want to leave your home. But you've seen these new amenities. You've seen the theater rooms with the great seating and the speakers on the wall, the big screen TVs. You've seen the California closets, the islands in the kitchen, sometimes with the burner right there in the middle. They know how to incorporate all the modern amenities into your older home. You want renovation with innovation, or you're going to build your dream home, only one place to go. Go check it out again, kengarland.custom.com, and then call Ken. He's just great to talk to. You'll appreciate it for sure, and you'll be with the best if you go with Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. We take a break. We're back in just 1 second. We are heading to Columbus, Ohio. The president of the College Football Writers Association from the Sporting News is Bill Bender, and he's next.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Maria's Cantina in South Haven is not your average Tex-Mex joint because they're serving up Mexican with a twist. Maria's Scratch Kitchen is the most creative and diverse menu around. Beyond the traditional huge quesadillas, chimichangas, and fajitas, Maria serves up hand-rolled Latin egg rolls, Cajun and Creole items like catfish, gumbo, and boudin balls, as well as the best sandwiches and 8-ounce burgers in town. Wash it all down with a house margarita for only $5.50 and happy hour every day till 6. MariasCantina.com, 6717 Airways, Mexican with a twist.
Hi, friends. It's Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. The seasons have changed, and fall is my favorite time of the year. Fall means that Christmas is right around the corner, and we all start preparing for that most wonderful time of the year. All families have their own traditions, and they bring so much joy. And a part of that joy comes in giving gifts to those we love. For over 5 decades, Russell Brothers Jewelers has been the source of many of the most beautiful gifts ladies in Memphis have ever seen. Gifts that are cherished and frequently handed down from one generation to the next. Gentlemen, as you think about a gift for your special lady this Christmas or any time, I hope you will think about Russell Brothers Jewelers. Beauty, value, quality, and service are our hallmarks at Russell Brothers. This Christmas, come see us at Russell Brothers. We will help make you the best St. Nick ever. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Sometimes life can be challenging. Relationships can be hard. Work can be exhausting. Cold weather can seem to soak into your bones. In those times, there is only one solution: a bar. And not just any bar. What you need is Bell Tavern, Memphis's perfect downtown neighborhood bar. Forget your troubles by settling in at the bar or at a table at Bell Tavern and let the comfortable atmosphere, coupled with the fantastic drinks and friendly staff, wash your worries away. Come to Bell Tavern and meet some friends or make some friends. And remember that all those things out there in the real world are nothing
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56 560 AM and 98.5 FM, your Mid-South sports station.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Let's head to Columbus, Ohio. President of the College Football Writers Association. From the Sporting News, we talked to Bill Bender. I guess the big news in your neck of the woods, or kind of in your neck of the woods, yesterday came down that Michigan State under Mel Tucker had recruiting violations. They vacated victories. They were fined $30,000 and 1.5% of the football budget, which I believe is $58 million. So that's right at $900,000. Are you surprised? Is that appropriate? Good morning. What do you think?
Well, the irony here, and obviously the back and forth between Michigan and Michigan State fans right now, is Michigan State forfeited a game. Connor Stallions was dressed in disguise on the other sideline.
Yeah, right.
That's the part that grabbed. That was the first thing I looked up. I was like, wait a minute, did they forfeit that one? In those fan bases, there is certainly
that should be a tie, 0-0 tie.
Yeah, they should just bring out one like that. That game never happened. Here's Wolo that no two fan bases. Yeah, Texas A&M, Ohio State, Michigan's always been a bigger game, but State, that is a nastier game. Question that in-state element and the little brother thing. It is a nasty rivalry between those two on and off the field.
More than Auburn, Alabama?
Not the same. It's got that feel to it, and I think some of it's driven by Michigan State. Like if you look at the On3 post, the Twitter post of breaking the news that Michigan State forfeited those games, the first 30 comments are about Connor Stallions, including one from Connor Stallions himself. So, I mean, it is a nasty back and forth between those two. Michigan's obviously had control of it for most of the time, but the fact that the NCAA did not vacate any of those Michigan victories and went after Michigan State for the things that have happened under Mel Tucker is just another reminder that is one of the most inconsistent governing bodies on the face of the earth.
Yeah, well, we always forget, but the NCAA, in essence, is the schools. That's, right. And they're just such disagreement between the whole body that it's impossible, it seems, to have an agreement. And our good friend Mike DeCourcy wrote a whole story on this today, how the SEC, or at least the guy from Mississippi State, the AD, is lobbying that there should be no automatic qualifiers that go into the college football playoff, be it whether it's 12 or 16. And we all know that's self-serving for the SEC to get more in, which they may get as many as 5 in. I mean, some of this stuff is ridiculous.
Oh, for sure. And Mike put that. Mike and I are, we have a great relationship, but we often disagree on a lot of things. And I want to go here, but I agree with the SEC here. If we went to 16, can we just take the top 16 teams and get rid of the conference championship game? And we can still make those conference games matter. And I think part of my thinking here, Wolo, is looking at and that's not a slide at the Group of 5. I'm always going to want a Group of 5 school in, but looking at the ACC and this fact that Duke, with four losses, coming off a UConn loss, has a clean look at the ACC championship game. I don't know that we need to be rewarding that. They could theoretically not even finish in the top 25 and still go to the college football playoff, or 2 Group of 5 schools could jump them in the rankings.
Here is why I will side with my guy DeCourcy in this argument. And I should promote the fact that we will have Mike back on here soon to talk college basketball. But there's something to playing the games. And a championship game means something if the winner gets something. And you still, and his thing was, well, let's just take a look at the 16 best. What we think is the best. Well, like Mike said, is the best how they look in uniform or when they get off the bus, how big they are? No. You got to play these things. Play them on the field. Let us find out who really is the best. That's why I like it, and that's why I think the championship games are important. And I promise you, Bill, no matter what you say, if they go to the no qualifiers, they're going to screw the group of 5, 100%.
They will, and that's my worry. And I defend the group of 5, and Mike and I always go back and forth on these things because I do like straight seeding. I don't see a ton of value championship games for the Power 4 and maybe the Power 2, if I'm being honest. Like last year, I was talking about this today, like Indiana, Ohio State, great. It's 12-0, Heisman Trophy. I should be like super excited about it. And I'm like, well, one team can win like Oregon did last year and then get bombed in the round of 8. So I'm not it just doesn't, Mike and I, and I'm not, if he was here, we could have this in the open.
Right.
But one of the reasons we disagree so much, and we love each other, we're really good coworkers, all that stuff. He covers college basketball, and I love college basketball too. I just don't think college football can be college basketball, where we love the conference tournaments, then we love the actual tournament. I don't, and that's how I feel about it.
Well, with more and more importance being placed on making the playoffs, like Memphis now. And you wrote the story. They're out. USF is in. I'm certainly not arguing with you at all, by the way. But, how much will people care about the next 2 games? They play at East Carolina on Saturday, and then they play Navy at home on Thanksgiving, and then they're going to go to a meaningless bowl game. So how much do they really care about the rest of the season now? Because there is that emphasis that's put on making championship games and playoffs. So I think it's good for the sport to have that. I think having automatic qualifiers means that you're playing for something, and the games become more important. Now, if you lose, there is an opposite effect. I get that, but in the respect where it's like college basketball, it's the games have meaning, and you should play it out to see really who is the best, not who in the mind of somebody on a committee looks the best.
I agree. And you have to have qualifiers and parameters and all of that. And I'm not saying that, but I'm just, and Mike will be the first to tell you that, like, I'm kind of a snob, unfortunately. In terms of the SEC and the Big Ten, I tend to fall in line with that, with the exception, what's changing my thinking, Dave, is I think the bottom of the Big Ten is terrible, the bottom third of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and these imbalanced schedules, and there is a big difference between 16 teams and 18 teams when your bottom third is as bad as the Big Ten is. Like, if somebody's asking me, why are the TV ratings down in the Big Ten? Well, I can tell you why. Because Ohio State, Wisconsin's a snoozer. Because the 3:30 game this week between Michigan State and Penn State, well, we didn't expect Penn State to be 0-6, to be fair. But it's a snoozer. The SEC has pretty compelling games on start to finish every Saturday. I will give that conference that.
Yeah.
That's part of the thinking. They do have 7 teams in the top 14.
Well, that's where, and I want to go with this real quick here. I looked at your prediction column again, which I love, and I'm sure you're doing that the rest of the season. But by your thinking and figuring, best way to put it, you still have, the SEC has 7 teams in play. You still have the Big Ten with 5 teams in play, the ACC with 5, the Big 12 with 5, which tells you this is all working this way because they're after the automatic qualifier. And then in a lot of instances, there's going to be guys that are at large.
Yeah. The SEC, I think here's a couple things that I see in the playoff field that could disrupt what it looks like now. I don't think the Big 12 will get 2 in because I think Texas Tech's going to run through that. I don't think the ACC should get 2 in with the disaster that it's become. Group 5, obviously, I think it will come out of the American. So if all of that happens and Notre Dame wins out, the SEC is going to get a fifth team in my opinion. It'll probably be, if Texas loses to Georgia, it'll probably be Vanderbilt. And that Diego Pavia-led team with 10 wins and losses at Alabama and Texas could slip in. What's going to keep the Big Ten from getting a fourth team in is they need one of two things to happen. They need USC to beat Oregon next week and win out, which maybe, or they need Michigan to win out and beat Ohio State again, which I think far less likely this time. Just because I just think Ohio State's at a different level, and they've heard for the last 300 some days about the disaster that was last season in Columbus, and I just don't see Michigan winning that game again with their offense. But that's why we have these rivalries.
Oh yeah, well, and the Vandy Tennessee game now. If Vandy wins this week, if that game in Knoxville, that could be to propel the Commodores. It used to be, we'd say Tennessee. Oh my God, they're going to play Kentucky and Vandy. They never play a hard team in November. Well, that is really interesting. All right, before we go, I got to get your take on this. Missouri State has sued the NCAA for immediate bowl eligibility. I don't like the rule. If they've made that commitment and spent that money and given the sweat and blood that they have to get this far, I think they should get in. I hate that when teams go from Division II to Division I for college basketball, they got to wait 7 years to get in the NCAA tournament. Right. I think that stuff's crazy. My only problem with Missouri State, and I don't like the rule at all. I think they should be able to play immediately if they qualify. But they knew the rules going in. They should have said to the NCAA, okay, we're going to jump it. You need to change that rule. Let's see how that plays out before we make this commitment. They didn't do that. They accepted the rule, and now they don't like it.
Yeah, I in college football and college basketball 2025, with all the portal movement and all those things, I'm a fan of just let them play in the bowl game if they make it. You threw out the dirty little word that we use about bowl games, meaningless. It would mean something to them to play. So I think those teams, I'm more than fine with them playing in those bowl games. NCAA tournament's a little bit different. I get there should be probably a little bit of a waiting period when you move up, but there are that many teams involved. Why not, right? Let's let these kids play in these events.
You know what? Missouri State wants to play so badly. They're not that far from Memphis. It just occurred to me. I'm going to throw this out for the first time. I know the people at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl are going to kill me, but if they don't get an SEC team, so if 5 go up, I don't think there'll be enough SEC teams to go around for their bowl contracts. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl ought to say, we'll take Missouri State. They'll bring 50,000 people. I don't know if they got that many, but anyway, it's an interesting thought. Bill Bender, as always, I love chatting with you. You make me think. I love the debate.
Always. Thanks for having me on. I'll talk to you next week.
You got it. That's Bill Bender from the Sporting News. He's brought to you in part by Sheldon Rosengarten. You know all about Sheldon now. He just keeps selling houses. It may be that it's the holidays coming up, but you know what he's the first guy ever to say that he can sell houses anytime. You don't have to wait. Don't wait till spring, basically, is what he tells you, because honestly, you do that and you've got a problem, because it's like azaleas start to bloom, so do the for sale signs. You can sell right now. Sheldon's done it before Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, even New Year's Day. The real estate market does not shut down on the holidays, and with the inventory being lower and the interest rates being stable, it might be your time to sell. And if you're selling, you got to call my guy. He says talk to 2 or 3 real estate agents. Just make sure he's one of them, because he's got a strategy, a marketing position. It's all about the 3 Ps. Ask him what that's all about. That absolutely works. And he works 24/7, 365. You can call him at 483-0546, or even online is the best way to get him by going, simple to remember, MemphisRelocate.com. That's MemphisRelocate.com or 483-0546. He's waiting for you right now. That's Sheldon. We take the break. When we come back, we're going downtown. We're going to talk to the Hall of Famer Jarvis Greer. He comes your way next.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey everybody, it's time to gobble up the savings. All-Star Chevy right here in Olive Branch is thankful for all of our customers. Red tags for 0 interest financing are now on every new Silverado and Equinox. And look, your good credit deserves it. All new Chevy Colorados and Equinoxes in stock are now just $100 over invoice. So it's time to gobble up the savings and be in what you really want to drive this Thanksgiving. If you're law enforcement, military, first responder, you get an extra $500 bonus. And Olive Branch is where all the new Chevys are. And it's the only place you can find all the barely driven certified pre-owned Chevys you want. Every pre-owned you could ever want. It's right here in Olive Branch. And if you got any vehicle you want to sell, bring it here to All-Star Chevy and get the most money for it today. So don't miss the Gobble Up the Savings sale going on right now in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Or go to allstarautogroup.com.
This holiday season is short. Make every moment magical with a trip to Sissy's Log Cabin. Here, you'll take all your festive looks to the next level and find gifts to wow every one of your family and friends. Discover our unmatched quality, brilliant natural diamonds, and spectacular service when you shop in store or online at sissyslogcabin.com. Make this the most wonderful time of the year with a trip to Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Progressive knows RV owners like to travel at a nice, relaxing pace. Just like this commercial. They're not rushing to a departure gate at the airport, because they depart from their driveway. And they can relax even more knowing they're protected by Progressive. Now here comes the fast part. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
NST's been taking down insurance giants for over 35 years. Big firm power with hometown heart? Yeah, they don't play. It's that combination that has helped them win billions for their clients. NST is the way to go. Call 683-7000.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We head downtown. Jarvis Greer standing by. I got to tell you, Jarvo, I'm nervous. I looked at all the numbers. This East Carolina team is really good. They're one of the best defensive teams in the American Athletic Conference. They've got a good offense, a good quarterback who's got experience. And guess what? They're still in the championship playoffs picture.
Right.
They could get to the title game, so they're hungry. This one's a tough one. 3 o'clock in Greenville.
Oh, we always thought it was going to be a tough one coming up, sandwiched as it was between Tulane and Navy to close out the season. Had to make that trip up to Greenville, and you know what? It's a big stadium up there. It's like 50,000, and they support that team. I think they have the top average attendance in the league. The students show up. And it's like it's a crazy atmosphere now that they're winning again. What are they? 6-2 overall, 4-1 in conference play. Their coach Blake Harrell in his first year. I think he was named interim coach last year, and they went 5-1 under him, and now they're 6-2 this year. So he's got them rolling. And just looking at them from looking at the games they played earlier this season, it's like they played a really good schedule. And, the losses they have are to tough teams. And it was like they couldn't get out of their own way. They were doing like what Memphis is doing with the false starts and that kind of thing that would take them out, in promising scoring drives and stuff like that. But they seem to have figured it out, and it's going to be a battle, no question.
and the losses they've had, they lost by a touchdown to both North Carolina State, Power 4 in-state rival, big game.
Mm-hmm.
Then
and they hate each other too.
Yeah,
they hate each other.
Right, and they lost to Tulane by a touchdown. The only game they were not in this year was BYU.
BYU, and that was the one where they just took themselves all the way out of it with penalties. They do get a lot of penalties, so that's one thing right there. But the scary thing about them, like you said, I mean, they're one of the top offenses in the country or in the conference, and one of the top defenses in the conference. So, I think they are the top defense. They just moved past Memphis to be the top defense in the conference. So they do a lot of, and plus they play tempo. They play fast. I think they average about 80 plays a game, and that's up there. You know, remember it used to be everybody was running that up tempo, go,
Yeah.
and then we've all kind of gotten away from that. But they still go really, really fast. So the Tigers are used to seeing that. So that's a good thing there. But they got a lot of players, and they run a lot of plays, and a lot of guys touch the ball. I think their quarterback's thrown to like 14 different receivers in a couple of different games. They got 4 running backs, and the quarterback can run. He's not necessarily a runner, but he can run, and so they know how to move the football and stop the football.
We don't know about the status of Brendan Lewis. We probably won't know until game time, because that's been the MO of what Ryan Silverfield has done with his decisions on this. And now he's going to make Blake Harrell prepare for 3 quarterbacks. My question for you is, let's just say Lewis couldn't go. Which quarterback would you go with? Would you go with Maiden, who looked so darn good last week and can run like Lewis can, and so you're used to that kind of offense, or A.J. Hill, who is the passer? His dad tweeted out yesterday, it's been deleted since then, that he's not happy that the way things have gone for his son here. I didn't know the son felt that way, but we know the dad sure has. Which quarterback would you use?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, in the small sample size that we have, Arrington Maiden's been here the longest. He was a top quarterback recruit out of Texas when Memphis brought him in. He's a redshirt sophomore now. I think he finished 4 of 6 passing and just barely missed that last pass to Cortez Graham.
Could have been 5 of 6, and it would have been about for 80 or 90 yards if that catch had been made.
If that catch is made. He had one taken away from him. Or no, that was B. Lou earlier in the game. They had that would-be touchdown pass to Cortez Graham. But it's and then you got Lewis, who A.J. Hill, rather, who had 13 for 25 against UAB with a touchdown pass.
He's got a beautiful ball. We know that, but he's not as mobile as the other two.
No, and he's more your prototypical quarterback. He's looking to get to the shield. I mean, because he's 6'4", about 240, and he has escapability, but he can throw the ball from anywhere at any angle, and is that kind of guy. And he throws a pretty ball. But Maiden throws a pretty ball. But as far as offensive consistency with the running of your quarterback, and that can take off at one and not afraid to lower his shoulder, Maiden's a pretty big dude, too. I mean, we saw what he did against Arkansas, and he has escapability. Plus, he's really fast. And so, I don't. If it was me, just as a guess, I would say it might be Maiden again, simply because he's been there longer, more familiar with the offense. They're more familiar with him. And, could you take a chance that you're going to lose A.J. Hill? Well, they'll battle that out again next season. It's not going to be – and if B-Lou is hurt and cannot go, and it will be tough. Because that Tulane game, Dave, you basically had a third of your offense, your running offense, taken away with Brendan Lewis not really able to run on that gimpy ankle.
Yeah.
And he was the Tigers' leading rusher going into that game. And I think the rest of, Sutton Smith and DeRosier, I call it Woozy, Greg DeRosier, they only had like 80 yards rushing between the two of 14 rushes. Well, the reason they only had 14 rushes because you got down so far.
Oh, you were playing catch-up. You were down 35 points in the first half that defense gave up, which, I don't understand why they're so good in the second half. and not so good in the first half, and that'll be
well. The key is not to get down, not to get down that far.
Absolutely,
you want to try not to do that if you can.
Let me give you another hard one before we say goodbye.
Hey, what are you going to do? What would you say? Would you put Maiden in or AJ Hill? What would you do?
I probably would go with Maiden because I think he is more more mobile, and these guys have 24 sacks on the year.
Yeah,
and you're not having to change your offense as much because he's similar to the way Lewis is, and I don't think AJ Hill is. So I would probably go with Maiden. That would be what I would do. What will you do if you're the AutoZone Liberty Bell? If you're Steve Earhart, you're Harold Grader, the SEC, there's a good chance that they won't have enough teams to go around. Memphis
because they got a bunch going to the playoffs.
Well, they're going to get 4 for sure, maybe 5 in, and you got to have, if you got 5, you got to have 12 eligible teams in order to succeed all your completing all your contracts with the Bulls. And Memphis always seems to get the raw end of the deal. Would you take, because that third party is the American in this deal, would you take Memphis if they win out and they're 10-2, maybe got more momentum going, or would you take the loser of the American Championship game? What would you do if you were Harold Grader and Steve Earhart?
Well, that's an interesting question because, well, when Memphis has played in it twice, they put really, really good crowds in the game. Both of them were against Iowa State. They lost the first one by 1 point, and they won the second one. Won the second one pretty much going away. It was not really a close game. Even the score was 10 points because they basically had them blown out. And that's what got the defensive coordinator his job because Iowa State only had 0 yards rushing in that game. So who could be in the championship game of the American if Memphis is not mathematically out?
Let's just say it's USF in North Texas.
USF North Texas.
Yeah.
Well, then it's a bowl game, and you're wondering who's going to bring the most crowds. And you go
or USF Tulane, maybe.
Could be Tulane. I mean, what are they? We've still got 3 one-loss teams left.
No, you got 5 one-loss teams, including ECU.
Oh, still you got 5. Well, I would say the one who hadn't been here and has a chance to bring a big crowd. East Carolina would bring throngs across the mountain over this way, and North Texas would bring their whole student body, which is a pretty big school, and it's an easy drive. So I would go with one of them. USF is such a long way that they may not bring a lot of people.
And honestly, they don't really draw that well that we have seen. A couple times they have.
Even though they may be the better team, well, they are the better team. They blitz North Texas.
Yeah.
And they would probably blitz East Carolina if that's who they play, or if they played that. But they've got
it's all going to play out. That is for sure. My friend, I'll see you in just a little bit with our coaches meetings. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right.
That is Jarvis Greer. He joins us every Thursday right here, and he's brought to you by ATC Fitness. Are you getting started on tackling your goals for the year with a premium or a basic membership? They've got 2 different ways you can do it with ATC Fitness and 18 different locations. They're talking Memphis and Queens Road. We're talking Germantown on Exeter Road. We're talking spots with 18. Every one of them clean as can be. Every one of them open 24/7. Every one of them have the latest when it comes to equipment. They always keep up. It's great. You get the benefits about really staying in shape, living longer, feeling better about yourself. They got silver sneakers. They got unlimited tanning. Again, all of the latest. No long-term memberships. It's really simple. You're going to feel better, and it's right there for you. At ATC Fitness, exercise your right to look good. That does it for us. Andy Schiffman tomorrow, college football picks. We got the whole gamut coming your way. That'll be mañana. Coming up momentarily, that would be John Harden. So don't go anywhere. Keep it right here. Have a great day, everybody.